I think, why don't we lead off by asking you now to just read a very short part of the book to give a flavour of both its politics and the art.
After the book was published, I got a letter from a woman I met in Scotland who said she wanted to come on behalf of the Sunday Herald to walk with me and write about the walk for the Sunday Herald. And of course I was very happy about that, and we made an arrangement to walk in the hills. I wasn't very sure how far we should go, a man and a woman alone in the hills of near Ramallah. And also the walk that I wanted to take her on, which was described in the first walk of the book, had been ruined by a road, a settler road, built illegally by the settlers on their own with money from the United States between two settlements of Dolev on the one side and Beit El on the other. And it had done a lot of harm to the valley. And I hadn't actually been down for a while, and was reluctant to go because it has become a military road. The settlers no longer use it, and it's only military jeeps, and if we're stopped by a military jeep it can be troublesome. So I thought we would just go down a little bit, and then we started going down, and I said, well, what do you think? She said, I'd love to walk more, and I was very curious about what's happening to the valley, so I thought, okay, we will go. And we continued and went down and got to the valley, and I will read to you what happened then. We arrived at the spring of Ain al-Lawzi, spring of the almond tree. The water had, I'm sorry. We arrived at the spring of the Ain al-Lawzi, the spring of the almond tree. Across from us was the beautiful rock that early in the year is studded with cyclamens. The spring itself still provided much needed water for the flocks of goats and sheep that grazed in these hills. But the meandering path nearby was almost totally obliterated, blocked by the large boulders that had fallen from the terrace above when this illegal road had been built in 1992. A beautiful spot that had remained unchanged for centuries had been destroyed, with no one raising a storm. As we rested, Louisa, and that was her name, told me of her impressions of life in the Palestinian territories. You Palestinians, she said, are always waiting. You wait at checkpoints, you wait for permits. Your life is a series of waiting episodes. How can you take all this? Why aren't you screaming? There was an unusual sound coming from the terraces above, as though someone was striking the dry bushes with a hard object. It was not a sound that an animal could make. I wondered who was up there. A few minutes later, two young men appeared. Their faces were covered by a kufiye, the black and white checkered Palestinian scarf, showing only their eyes. They were armed with long, thick clubs and came towards us. First they asked us for water, then after drinking they asked, "Where are you from?" "From Ramallah," I answered, but felt I was not believed. "Why did you come here?" "To walk," I said, and realized they were even less convinced. The prospect of taking a pleasure walk during times like these must have seemed preposterous to them. "But you know, it is dangerous to come here." "Yes, I know about the settler road and the army jeeps." "Then why did you come?" "I've been coming here since before you were born, before this road was built. What business is it of yours?" "It's our duty. We have to keep guard and know who comes here." A feeling came upon me that the familiar valley was no longer mine. The settler road above was quiet. No vehicles passed over it. It bordered the valley, framed it, but it was no longer the only despoiler. The young men looked to me to be in their late teens. They must have been adolescents during the second violent intifada. All they knew was upheaval, and chaos. They could have no memories of this valley as the safe pastoral place that I had known for many years. They must have thought that anyone coming here could not be aware of the danger, so could not possibly be from here. They repeated the question, "Where are you really from?" Again, I said I was from Ramallah. "Can we see your identity card?" I produced my lawyer's card. "And hers?" "She's English." "Can we see her card?" But Louisa was not carrying an identification document. It was my mistake. I explained we had not planned on a long walk. She had come without a purse. But they could not understand this. They grew up under the requirement that one had to carry identification papers. The privilege of being free of these documents was reserved for the occupier. So she must be one of them. How do we know she isn't from the Mukhabarat, the Israeli Security Service? Because she is with me. Would I walk with her if she were one of them? As I spoke, I eyed them directly, each in turn. After a short pause, I said in my best drawing room manner, "It was good to meet you, but now we must be on our way." And I proceeded to walk away with Louisa in front. We had hardly walked a few steps when we were called back. This time the two young men were less polite. "Where do you think you're going?" "We can't let you go without ascertaining who she is. It's our duty to our tanzim. We have been appointed to keep watch over these hills and report on who comes here. We can't let her go before we know who she is." "I told you she is English. She has come to Palestine to volunteer. Why would the Israeli Mukhabarat send anyone here? Can't you see she doesn't look Israeli?" I was thinking of Louisa's red hair, but having said this, I realized that these young men had no way of knowing how an Israeli woman would look. The only Israelis they had seen were soldiers. Why then is she here? "I brought her here to show her our beautiful hills. When you came, I was describing to her how the place looked before the settlers built this road. You are too young to remember it, but this place was like a little paradise. Can you imagine these boulders without the rubble that has been spilt over them from the road, and the path before it was concealed by these falling rocks?" They listened to what I was saying, but did not seem interested. They were consumed by the insecure, turbulent present. It was all they knew. The past was clearly another country.